I know I'm a little late, but it's okay. This video will probably go up, yeah, around the normal time anyway. Yeah, so, looks like we have some Walpurgis stuff. Yay! Alright, so we have, what? Walpurgis, uh, Faust, Honglu, and then the Regret Meursault Ego, and then a bunch of patch notes, I think. Yeah, there's like a bunch of patch notes. We'll blast through this shit quick, bro. Watch. Watch. Under 45 minutes. Let's go. Lobotomy Ego Regret Faust. Alright. 3-star, obviously. Naturally. I'm assuming it's gonna be Tremor. Inflict Tremor count, gain Tremor count. Okay, naturally. All blunt. Pretty much what we expected. I don't know if anyone expected anything else. Sloth, Pride, Wrath is, like, not a good sin spread, to be honest. It's, like, fine. Pride is not as demanded in the meta now, though, with Ryoshu, W. Ryoshu and Molar Ishmael being pretty much, like, leaders in the meta right now. Molar's, like, personal preference. You can go either way on Molar versus Reindeer, but, you know, especially if you use Molar. But even if you don't need that much Pride, because Ebony Stem kind of is not super relevant in the current year. So, oh well. But yeah, not a single sin resource for Fluid Sac is kind of tough. It's kind of tough. I don't know. I mean, her counter skill has it, I guess, but I'm not counting that, obviously. So, I don't know. Pretty bad sin resource spread if I had to, you know, comment on that, but it's not a huge deal. It kind of is. I like having Gloom resource generation. You can never have enough of that stuff, but whatever. So, looks like it's a self-Tremor ID. Gain Tremor on count. Why are we... Dude, Clash Lose is so fucking stupid, bro. Why are we even adding this line of text? It does not ever make a difference. Why are we even bothering adding Clash Lose to abilities anymore in the current day? I don't understand. Like, what? This never does anything. Okay. On hit, gain Tremor count. On hit, inflict Tremor count. So, like, if you're on use gaining Tremor count and on hit gaining Tremor count, then what's the point? Why would you ever want to Clash Lose? You would just never do that. Why would you ever do that? It's so bad. Whatever. I don't understand, like, why they keep putting these. It doesn't make any sense. Combat starts. Spend Tremor count and gain plus Y attack weights for this skill. I mean, attack weight is pretty good. Attack weight is pretty good. On use, gain Tremor count. So, this gains you Tremor count and spends Tremor count. I mean, interesting. That's strange, but okay. Heads hit, gain Tremor count. On hit, inflict offense level down next turn. On hit, inflict Tremor, and plus coin drop. These are all pretty powerful debuffs. Offense level down, if it's like more than, if it's anything, if it's like 3 or up, I doubt it would be, but if it's like 3 or more offense level down on this, it's like pretty broken. Because that just reduces clash power by 1. If it's like 2, I'll appreciate it. If it's 1, then it's irrelevant. But, you know, if this ends up being like 3 or more, it's kind of disgusting. And the plus coin drop is actually kind of slept on. It's just the only things that inflict it now are like, what? Kleinhammer Heathcliff. And like probably some other people I'm forgetting. But like plus coin drop is irrelevant because the people who apply it are not very good. But if this ID ends up being good, which I imagine it'll at least end up being good, then plus coin drop is pretty solid, to be honest. Pretty good DPS skill 2, basically. 3 coin skill 2 is where you want to be in terms of bread and butter, throw it out there and get stuff done. Which is cool. And then you have Unleashed Violence as the skill 3, another 3 coin. Combat start, spend Tremor count, and gain Y attack weight for this skill. So it's again, spend Tremor, gain attack weight. I imagine this would probably be your big nuke skill, but we'll see. Clash, lose sanity. Again, why are we even bothering to put this on the ID, though? Like, why would you even bother putting this on here? It's like, doesn't Spice Bush have Clash, lose sanity also on his skill 3? Like, why would you, like, what is the point of it even being there? I don't understand. Deal X% more damage per Y negative effect on target. That seems pretty good, honestly. It has some serious potential. If you're on a normal team, okay, this is going to inflict Tremor first. Like, or the enemy's probably going to have Tremor, because she'll be inflicting Tremor on them. So that's something. And then you might have some combination of sinking or burn. And the thing about burn is that when you hit the enemy, it doesn't consume the burn. Versus sinking, like, you could run out of sinking, like, halfway through your attack. But burn does not get consumed. So that actually has some good potential. Because Ninclair and stuff just, like, applies burn for fun, right? And stuff like that. And, like, stuff like bind and offense level down, like, you know, these random-ass debuffs, they do kind of contribute. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get around, like, 2 debuffs pretty consistently on any enemy. Like, your guys are just all going to be hitting the same enemy anyway. So it's like, you know, fragile is one thing, and then, like, slash fragility maybe on Ryoshu's skill 2, and then, like, burn maybe off of, like, immoral enactment. That's already 3, plus tremor is, like, 4. So, like, you know, I'm just throwing it out there. And maybe bind or something, like, off of something. So you could probably pretty easily get, like, anywhere from, like, 2 to 4-ish debuffs pretty consistently, on a decent setup. So this actually seems pretty solid. I'd say consistently you could probably get around 2 pretty easily, at least. And then on kill, gain tremor count. We don't give a shit about on kill. That shit never comes up. And then it looks like, am I blocking this? My OBS is on my other screen, so I apologize if I'm blocking the text, but I'll read it out loud. So on hit, burst tremor, then deal wrath damage by % of the final stagger threshold raised by burst tremor. This happens twice. And then the last one also burst tremor, then deals wrath damage by % raised by burst tremor, and then additionally reduces tremor count by X. So you're bursting tremor 3 times. But differently to the other Tremor IDs, the multi-burst Tremor IDs, this, when you're bursting the Tremor, it doesn't consume extra Tremor count. Because usually that's, like, the tax on multi-burst Tremor IDs, is they can burst Tremor, like, 2 or 3 times, but it consumes, like, you know, double or triple the tremor count every time they do it. Looks like Faust is not going to have to deal with that issue. Obviously, she's going to nuke your stack at the end of the attack, but at that point, you're probably you don't even have that much tremor probably at the end of it, so that's not really a big problem. And then also another big thing, deal wrath damage by % of the final stagger threshold. So, again, we're turning tremor into damage. Last time they did this, it was on Molar Otis. Molar Otis is, like, pretty okay, like, pretty good, but her sloth damage on Tremor Burst is, like, super irrelevant because it's capped at, like, 30 damage or something absolutely pitiful. So, I hope that this is not the same case, because that's, like, the only way to really make Tremor pop is by giving it actual damage so that it can contribute meaningfully. But, you know. And then, I don't even know, like, deal wrath damage by % of the final stagger threshold raised by burst tremor. Final stagger threshold, like, I guess it does nothing against enemies with no stagger bar. Which is, to be fair, pretty few and far between in terms of enemies. Like, 95% of enemies in the game have a stagger bar of some kind. Like, even Shock Centipede, it has a stagger bar, it's just at 0 HP. So, you know, like, I guess that could kind of be something. But there are, like, very few enemies that don't have any stagger bar, which I guess this wouldn't do anything to them, but that's like more of a minor thing. I don't think it would really ever come up most of the time. And then, you know, counter skill is whatever. Coerced Regret. In a clash, the target has -X clash power for every Y types of negative effects. That seems pretty okay. A little bit less attractive than extra damage on skill 3, but minus clash power is pretty good. It does help her clashing because I'm assuming her numbers are not going to be super broken because she has 3 coins on like all of her relevant skills. So I assume her numbers aren't going to be busted. So I guess it's probably helpful. And it's literally free, so I mean, you know, we take those. When this unit is alive, enemies affected by Tremor Burst gain defense level down. Okay, that's pretty good too. Defense level down, people probably will sleep on this part, but defense level down increases the amount of damage you take because, you know, the lower the enemy's defense level, the more damage that they take in the damage calculation, obviously. So, defense level down is actually useful, because she bursts Tremor multiple times, so she can get value out of this, pretty nicely. And then Mental Corruption, if at less than X Sanity at turn end, gain Bind and Blunt Power Up. That's just never happening. I don't know if that would ever come up, ever. But it might be funny. Gaining Bind is, like, not cool, though. Hold on. Forsaken Murderer? Don't you have Abno pages that, like... Hold on, Floor of Technological Sciences. This is this one, Chained Wrath, right? Blunt dice gain power, speed is fixed at 1. I guess that's the idea. Not super attractive in this game, because you don't have the same level of control as you do in LOR, so giving Bind to yourself is pretty terrible. Even if you do get extra damage, it's pretty bad. Because I'm imagining you want Faust to be fast. That's the thing. Like, you want Faust to be fast because in a clash, she can suck up huge clashes. In theory. We don't know her numbers, obviously. But in theory, if she's fast, she can suck up big clashes and make use of this clash power. And then she can use Tremor Burst to inflict defense level down for the rest of your team. With her skill 3. Which would be good. And Burst Tremor 3 times could potentially raise the stagger bar enough so that your next teammate, or next, like, couple teammates could get a consistent stagger on your enemy, right? And that's, like, the idea for the setup that I have, is, like, you just have, like, Tremor on the enemy, you burst the Tremor, so that it's either staggered for the rest of your team that comes after her, or it's, like, the stagger bar is close enough that a couple of attacks will stagger the enemy, right? Like, that's the whole point. Problem is, like, I'm just assuming because Forsaken Murderer's, like, gimmick is that he's just low speed. He also lowers the enemy speed, but his, like, main gimmick is just, like, Chained Wrath being broken, as far as I can tell. So, you know, I mean, like, hopefully she's not low speed. I have a feeling she probably would be, but, you know, I mean, I hope she's not, because that would kind of kill a lot of her synergy. I think she will be good, though. That's the thing. Like, I think she will be good, just because the other options are not great. I said this in, like, a previous stream, like a while ago. It's probably ages ago by now. But, I said it in a previous stream, and, like, people disagreed with me. But I still stand by it, that, Gripper Faust is, like, not that good of a unit that people think she is. People act like she's, like, broken. I was talking, it was the tier listing stream, where I was talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I think Gripper Faust is probably, like, a B tier unit, because her only value is literally just, like, one line of text. It's just the gaze debuff. That's literally all that she does. That's, like, remotely useful. Her skill 3, giving sanity, is, like, kind of a fun gimmick sometimes, but it, like, never comes up. So, that's, like, her only use. And it's, like, a good use, but I mean, like, in general play, like, the thing is, gaze only ends up mattering in specifically, like, Railway. And in every other place, she's outclassed, by, like, LobCorp Faust, or even, like, 7th section now, right? Like, you know, so that's, like, her best meta option, and it's not even, like, that crazy. Uh, it's so, like, the ID itself is so mid overall that people are like experimenting with bringing 7th section to Railway now because at least 7th section can like do things and has good Sin resource generation because she has a Gloom skill too, and Gloom is really good in season 2. So you know, like, just a lot of things going against that idea. I hope that this idea ends up being really solid. I think it would be cool to have Faust as a DPS option, like a proper DPS option, because let's be honest, like, Lobcore Faust is good, but, oh, well, now I guess there's two Lobcore Faust. There's Lobcore Ego Regret Faust, and then there's Lobcore Remnant. But, yeah, Remnant Faust is, she's, like, good, but she's not, like, high damage or anything. Like, let's not kid ourselves. She just has clashing and speed, which is fine, but not insanely exciting or anything. So I hope this ID is good. I think I'll probably give her, like... Self-Tremor is kind of cringe, though. I don't know. I'll probably give her, like, a... conservatively, I'll give her a 6 or a 7. I'll give her, like, a 7. General rating, I'll give her, like, a 7, I think. Because the only thing holding her back is Tremor. If she had, like, any useful status effects... I'm not saying Tremor is useless, especially because her skill 3 can burst Tremor and deal damage, so it's not, like, completely worthless. But it's still Tremor. So, you know, I'm being a little safe, but if her numbers are good, I could see myself boosting her up to, like, an 8 or a 9, maybe. Pretty fairly. But I'm gonna rate her conservatively as a 7 because she needs, like, good numbers on her coins, obviously. None of her stuff gives her coin power. Instead, it gives her attack weight, which is exciting to see. But if her coins actually end up being, like, kind of piss poor, attack weight doesn't matter if you're doing, like, 0 damage. So, you know, attack weight on its own is not inherently super broken. It has to be attack weight on, like, a really good skill. Like, 4th match Flame Ryochu or, like, Ardor Blossom Star are good examples, right? Where attack weight ends up, like, really mattering. So, you know. So, and then she also needs good speed. That's, like, my other main thing. She also needs good speed. Like, I don't think she'll get it, but please just give me, like, 3 to 6. Like, just give me average, please. Like, if she ends up being, like, 3 to 5 or something, I don't know. Like, that's gonna be so sad. But, yeah, that's, like, the main thing. Because with good speed, she can actually get, like, a lot of stuff done. If she doesn't have good speed, it's kind of cringe, because then she ends up losing out on, like, this part of her kit, like, potentially this part of her kit, because she can't redirect clashes or anything. So, and then the whole Tremor thing, like, you want her to go early, so, because if the enemy's already staggered, you know, like, if she goes last and the enemy's already staggered by the time she acts, then, like, what the fuck is Tremor even going to do for you? Like, it loses its only purpose, basically. So, like, what the hell is the point? So, I don't know. I'm gonna rate her conservatively of, like, a 7. Meta rating, oh yeah. General rating, I'll give her a 7. It could go up to, like, an 8 or a 9 if she has good stuff. But, yeah. And then meta rating, I'll probably give her, like, an 8. Probably could go up to a 9 if she has good stuff. Nah, like, I think I'll say the same for meta, to be honest. Because her options, even though Gripper is, like, objectively a pretty mid ID, it's still powerful in a meta context where you're, like, in Railway bursting things. It is still a very powerful ID. So, I'll say, like, probably a 7 for meta as well. Could go up to, like, an 8. I don't think it'll go higher than an 8, though. And general rating, it could go up to a 9, maybe. And then Hook Office Fixer, Hong Lu. Looking pretty fly. He's got all Pierce and some interesting Ego Resource Generation spread. It's fine. Again, would rather not have to see Lust. We have plenty of Lust generation. It's mostly Gloom. That is in high demand in the meta right now, so that's kind of a bummer, but again, it's okay. So all Pierce, immediately he's competing with what's it called? Immediately he's competing with Ting Tang in terms of piercing damage, obviously. This won't factor into his general rating, obviously, because general rating's in a vacuum. So that's fine. But meta rating might get docked some points for that because his competition is very fierce. So we have Track at X Haste, Final Power plus Y. Okay, on hit, inflict bleed. Heads hit, inflict bleed count. Pretty standard. Looking like a haste ID, I guess. At X speed, gain coin power. Coin power is pretty exciting with the 3-coin skill. On use, gain haste next turn. Well, there's your haste. Okay. Heads hit, inflict bleed. Heads hit, inflict bleed. On hit, if the unit is faster than the target, inflict bleed count equal to speed difference. That is a lot of bleed, actually. Potentially. Especially if you could just combine it with, like, you know, Crow's Eye View. Pretty standard setup. Like, Crow's Eye View or inflict bind on the enemy or something. Like, could be pretty easy to get a serious amount of bleed. You could probably get, like, 6 bleed or something with this or something if you have, like, a really good setup. Which is pretty good, honestly. Pretty solid. At X speed, coin power plus Y. Coin power on a 4-coin skill is kind of disgusting. Deals more damage based on target's missing health. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't, like, scale super weirdly, like I Can Cook Anything. Heads hit, heal sanity per bleed. Largely irrelevant. On hit, inflict bleed. On hit, inflict bleed. Okay, I mean, that's just a lot of bleed. Definitely better than Kurakumo for bleed, that's for sure. Because Kurakumo, if you run him with, like, the thing is with him is if you run him with other bleed IDs, he gets worse. Because of Cloud Cutter bricking itself. Once the enemy starts getting an actual bleed stack, Cloud Cutter becomes a terrible skill. So, you know, it's just kind of stupid. So this seems like a pretty solid bleed ID, actually. Like, really solid. Genuinely. He has some good stuff. At X speed is really... coin power on a 3 and a 4-coin skill is really good. X speed is pretty easy to achieve even outside of his kit. So, that's pretty fine. Because you can just give your own team speed multiple different ways to do that. So, it's probably good for that alone. And then, you know, Rampage seems pretty solid, too. 4-coin skill that could gain coin power and deal more damage based on units missing health is pretty exciting. And then we have defense skill, quickness, evade. If target has X plus bleed, gain coin power. On evade, gain haste. If the evade recycles itself, you could gain an absurd amount of haste. That could be funny. I don't know if it'll really be super relevant. I've never ever made a bleed team in my life because bleed is kind of not very good. But it seems pretty funny. Hook, on defeating an enemy, gain attack power up. We don't care about this. Defeating an enemy is, like, not the easiest thing to set up, and it's not really an insane payoff. Mass-produced bionic gear. When one ally with the fastest speed defeats an enemy, inflicted with bleed, gain attack power up. That seems okay. Inflicted with bleed, the thing is, like, if you're running a bleed team, you're probably going to just want to run him in the team instead of on the bench for the passive, is my guess. Because he seems like a really solid bleed ID, to be honest. General rating, I'd probably give him, like, a 9. He seems very, very self-sufficient, and pretty solid, to be honest. Unless his coin powers are completely crippled, I can't really see you going wrong with this ID. Like, your gimmick being speed is already a major plus. Because speed is, like, one of the best stats to be, like, to make your gimmick. Because speed is just super, super good. So, you know, having speed as the main gimmick is pretty exciting. So I'll give him like a 9 general rating. He seems really usable. In a bleed team, he'll probably do super well. 100%, I think. He's probably one of the best bleed IDs in the game, it looks like. Unless his numbers on his bleeds are just terrible. But I don't know why they would do that. And then meta rating, he's competing with Ting Tang, and he's competing with Kurakumo. I don't know if he's going to be better than either of them, to be honest. He might be better than Kurakumo, but it's kind of hard. It's hard to tell. I don't think he's better than Ting Tang, though. Again, it's hard to tell. Because Ting Tang's skill 2 and skill 3 are just super strong. His skills look pretty solid, though, to be honest. They look really, really solid. So I'll probably meta rating, I'll give him like a 7. He has a solid chance. I think he has a solid chance of being at least better than Kurakumo. Being better than Ting Tang is pretty hard, though, because the support passive on Ting Tang is also super broken. So I'll give him like a 7 meta rating, and I'll give him like a 9 general rating, I think. I don't know if I don't think those will change, though. And then we have Meursault's Ego. This is competing with Screw Loose Wallop, so not much competition there. 1 coin, Wrath, Blunt, naturally. Fine. Before attack, remove random removable negative status effect applied to self. Okay, sure. I mean, it's a nice bonus. I'm not complaining about that, obviously. That's fine. On hit, inflict, plus X plus Wrath Abs Res over Y. Tremor count? What the fuck? Why? Why? Okay, sure. Abs Res... Wrath Abs Res is probably not happening, though, like, ever. There's just no way. So it's just Tremor Burst. If the target does not have a stagger threshold, deal Wrath damage based on final stagger threshold by Burst Tremor. What do you mean? Deal Wrath damage based on the final stagger threshold by Burst Tremor? But it's if the target does not have a stagger threshold, then how are you dealing Wrath damage based on the final stagger threshold? If they do not have a stagger threshold. I don't really understand what that means. If the target does not have a stagger threshold upon Burst Tremor, deal Wrath damage based on the final stagger threshold by Burst Tremor. I don't understand what this means. What does this mean? This doesn't... The way that it reads, it just doesn't do anything. Like, I'm assuming it's like, if it doesn't have a stagger threshold, then deal Wrath damage based on the amount of stagger damage that would have been done if it had a stagger threshold, right? That's what I'm imagining it means, but like that's just not at all how it reads. How it reads, it just wouldn't do anything. But I'm just assuming that it's like, if the target doesn't have a stagger threshold, then it'll deal damage, like it'll deal Wrath damage equal to the amount that the Tremor would have done when it bursted, you know? I don't know, though. Indiscriminate targets randomly. Before attack, if the unit has a negative status effect, attack weight plus X. Attack weight plus X? I mean, that's obviously good. This negative status effect? What are, like, the easiest ways to give yourself negative status effect? Like, Chains of Others? But Chains of Others nerfs your offense power, so it's like... I don't know if you'd even want to do that. Like, that's not even that good. Because it nerfs your attack power by, like, a large... Isn't it, like, attack power down by, like, 4 or something? It's, like, really bad. Granted, on an Ego, it's not as big of a deal, because what's -4 on, like, a 30 roll? It doesn't really matter that much, but... I'm not super into it, personally. I don't know, like, you'd have to give him, like, bleed or burn, or, like, some irrelevant status effect somehow. Like, on like, stage 1, Railway 2 stage 1, like, so that no one will cry, if you can, burn the Abno, and then the Abno at the end of the turn will burn you back, obviously, then the burn will turn this on because he'll be inflicted by burn. So, I mean, and so the normal cry is vulnerable to blunt damage, so it could, like, actually do something, maybe. That's, like, like, off the top of my head. But you'd basically have to be waiting for the enemy to inflict, like, random, like, sinking or rupture, or, like, some random stuff on him. On hit burst Tremor, raise stagger threshold by percentage of Tremor. If the target does not have, yeah, that's all the same. Reduce Tremor count by X. Okay. Why? Okay, hold. After attack, gain bind and a blunt power up next turn. I mean, that's fine. His best IDs don't do blunt damage, though, so that's kind of lame. His best IDs are, like, Rhino and W Corp, and neither of them do blunt damage, so this doesn't really help you that much unless you're chaining it into itself again. I don't know if you would ever... I don't know if you would want to do that, though. But yeah, just a minor aside. Why does it on here say Tremor Burst on hit, and then on this it says Burst Tremor? Just a completely irrelevant, obviously, but like, why, bro? What? And then we have Bound Wrath. Leftmost skill loses base power and gains coin power. Okay, so that's like the Abno page that loses you min power and raises max power, right? Lower the min value of all dice by 1 and raise the maximum value by 3. It's kind of the same idea, I think. Leftmost skill on the dashboard loses X base power and gains Y coin power. Okay, I mean, that's kind of funny. And probably pretty good, if I had to guess. At the start of the turn, if at X or lower speed, gain blunt power up. Again, not really a concern. Because, again, both of his best IDs are hella fast, so he's probably not going to be super slow. Unless you use Chains of Others to set him up beforehand, which kind of would help, maybe. Also, just to make sure, leftmost skill on the dashboard, don't get it twisted. Ego passes only apply to the user. So I'm assuming when it says leftmost skill on the dashboard, I'm assuming it means Meursault's leftmost skill on the dashboard, not the absolute. It's not like a support passive. It's like his leftmost skill on the dashboard is what will get the base power, coin power modification. And like, this is potentially a super strong effect, but I'm not keeping my hopes up super high. And you know, I'll probably say, will you use this over Screw Loose Wallop? Like, probably. It seems pretty good, honestly. Just for the passive alone, it seems pretty powerful. I'm not sure about everything else. I don't think it'll be, like, super meta or anything. Like, it's not gonna be, like, omnipresent, like Fluid Sac or Hex Nail, or, like, Teledon or anything. It's not gonna be, like, used every single fight or anything like that. Or, like, E-Song, like Sun Shower or stuff. It's not gonna be, like, a meta staple. But I think it's probably better than Screw Loose Wallop, that's for sure. Because that ego's, like, super niche. At least this can, like, kind of do something, maybe. Because the passive is at least kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, I'm just, like, not a Screw Loose Wallop enjoyer, so if you're a Screw Loose Wallop enjoyer, then it doesn't seem like you're missing... Yeah, let's put it this way, it seems kind of equal, if not a tiny bit better. I don't know if it's that much better. If you're a Screw Loose Wallop apologist, then you can... I feel like you could probably get away with using it over this and not really feel that much of a loss, is how I'll put it. They seem kind of both fine, I guess. And then we have the patch notes, you know, update contents or whatever. Login events, we already know what a login event is, obviously. Notice regarding event IDs. How event IDs and Ego are handled in Extractions and Dispenser. We already know all of this, right? I mean, I guess we'll read it. For those who were not in here from the Season 1 to Season 2 transition, we'll go over it, just so you understand what's going to happen for Season 2 to Season 3 transition. Acquired from Extractions, yeah, naturally. You know, the Season 1 and Season 2 event stuff. Acquired from event currencies, yeah. The other Season 1 and Season 2 event stuff, and then acquired from attendance check, so, yeah. So, there, obviously you're already aware of this stuff, like, the welfare stuff from the what's it, Hell's Chicken event, versus the gacha stuff, obviously. Same thing with SEA. There's the welfare, Ryoshu and Sinclair, and then there's the gacha, Honglu and Ishmael, obviously. And then now we have a third category that's attendance award IDs, which we didn't have before, and now we do. Each category will be mentioned above will be included in extraction and defense dispensers as follows. So the gacha event stuff, they'll be available from extractions and dispenser from the start of their event to the end of the season. Once the season's over, they can no longer be extracted. Once the season is over, they cannot be acquired from the dispenser in the immediately following season. However, they'll be available from the dispenser in the season after. We already knew this. So, for example, in season 3, you will not be able to get these, basically, is what that says. Pretty simple. So, you know, get them while you can, obviously, because if you don't get them now, then if, for example, Molar Ishmael becomes super meta in Season 3, she's already really good in Season 2 right now, but if she becomes even more meta in Season 3, because it is her season, you never know, maybe she synergizes very well with the ego or something, like, I don't know. But, you know, if she ends up being super good and you didn't pick her up, there is not a single way for you to get her in Season 3. So you'll just be missing that entire part of the meta, which is kind of a bummer. So make sure you pick them up, you know, now, if you can. Obviously. And then, in Season 3 also, the Season 1 event stuff will be, dispensable. So, you know, the next time you'll be able to get these is in Season 4. And if you missed the Season 1 stuff, you can get them in Season 3, right? It takes 2 seasons in order for the event stuff to come back. And then the welfare stuff, I believe, is just the, it's the same thing, except you can't ever gacha them. So, again, Don and Gregor are going to be dispensable in Season 3. And then the attendance check events is new. Once the event's over, they can be acquired from dispenser. Once the season's over, they cannot be acquired from dispenser in the following. However, they'll be available in the season after. So it's the same situation. So, you know, if you didn't get Molar Otis, pick her up, because next season you won't be able to get her until Season 4. So, and then this is just, in case you somehow still don't understand, there's some visuals for you. Optimizations, improved resource loading. Awesome. Deleted a gig of unused resources. Thank you. Identities and ego detailed information pop-ups improved. What is this? We've added a summary tab to reduce the number of steps required to access ego details from identity details menu. We have also redesigned the current old-school folder-like UI to a more solid vintage mechanical design. Okay. I don't know why you're selling it like it's a car, but it does look pretty cool. It looks nice. I like it. I like it. It's basically they just added an extra tab. Because skills are still there, egos are still there. And sanity tab, for whatever reason, is still there. So, they're just putting it all in one page instead of making you go back and forth over and over. And then in summary, you can see everything, which is pretty nice. I'm down for that. So they're just adding a new tab and making it look a little better. Nice. And also the key art is no longer awkwardly slanted or anything, which is very, very cool. I did not like that. That was like one of my least favorite things, is how the art in the menu was like slightly tilted like this way. I don't know, that just annoyed me for some reason, so I'm glad that it's not anymore. And then UI for viewing equipped ego and ID skill info from team menu added. I can't even like see that, bro. That's so tiny. What even is this? Skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, defense skill? Oh. It's this tab up here. It's this button. So you can swap to seeing their skills and seeing their egos. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. Sure. That's fine. I don't think I'll ever use it, but that's kind of nice, I guess. We have added these functions so players can view all the IDs, skill, damage types, equipped ego resources that can be gained by IDs, and ego resources used by ego skills. I mean, yeah, that's fine. UI behavior for deploying and dismissing IDs. What? In the older version, behaviors for switching out an ID and deploying an ID to combat were confusing. Were they? The separate edit team button on the bottom right added unnecessary steps. Oh! Okay, no, I understand. So there was a button here that would switch between, like, I want to deploy this ID versus, like, I want to select this ID and, like, change what I equip. I mean, I didn't find it that confusing, but it was kind of annoying to learn. I understand. Makes sense. The button has been removed. That's a positive change, in my opinion. Again, personally, I didn't have a problem with it, but I understand that it was actually confusing, so that is a positive change. Stage clear results UI redesigned. Okay. I mean, UI change looks fine. As previously mentioned in UI, we have redesigned the current UI to a more solid vintage mechanical design. Yeah. Stage clear results UI have been updated accordingly as well. Sure. I mean, new visual style, I don't really have a comment on that. That's personal preference. Mirror dungeon preset function improved. Oh, I forgot this existed. I'm gonna be honest. I never used it. I forgot it was there. The old preset function simply reloaded the last used team loadout, which meant it was cumbersome when trying to employ a variety of team loadouts. I guess, yeah, that's, sure. In order to reduce the unnecessary steps, we have made changes to the preset so you can swap out your team based on teams you made in the center window. Okay, I mean, I'm still probably gonna forget to use it, but that's fine. Abno focused encounter staggered label added to skill slots. We added this label resource to clarify staggered parts. Oh, I see. It's like a really tiny thing. I see it though. In the picture, there's a little icon on the part that's staggered. Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense. That's a nice quality of life change, I guess. And then my major changes, Dante's notes. Yeah, okay, dude, like, all my Dante's notes enjoyer. I'm definitely in the minority on this one. I feel like I'm one of the only people who does not care about Dante's notes. I've never opened them. Certain categories arrangement orders have been changed so that spaces between words would not come before dash, a, or ah. Okay, sure, whatever. And then bug fixes. That's the only major change, just one. Okay. Fix an issue where when a notice or dispenser pop-up would appear where when the banner showing red exclamation, the banner symbol would be overlaid. I feel like that, yeah, I remember. Fixed an issue where let one person drink it all choice in Mirror Dungeon didn't work as intended. The first effect was applied so and the second effect was different center the results were calculated, but okay. I don't even remember what this was. That was from Fairy Gentleman, maybe? I don't know. I always take the refuse option so I get the ego gift. I don't know. Fix an issue where if at the point in which the mini episode is updated... Oh yeah, this was a known bug that they said in the last patch. Fix an issue where in JP build, the symbol G did not display properly. Okay, sure. Whatever. I trust you. Fix an issue where upon entering the 4th phase of the Doomsday Calendar, failing the choice event, the HP loss displayed on the choice results did not match the actual HP loss. Sure. Ian only fixed an issue where Blade Lineage Otis Skill 1 was mislabeled at Coin Power plus 3 instead of at 5 plus points. They're nerfing Blade Lineage Otis. I mean, it's not actually a nerf, like, to be honest. It's not a nerf. It's just a mislabeled. I'm assuming... the effective values were unchanged. We apologize for causing. Yeah, so it's a translation issue. It only ever gained coin power plus 1, but it was labeled as plus 3. But if we're being honest, like, dude, what if they're nerfing Otis? What the hell? Blade Lineage Otis, as if she didn't have it bad enough. And then known issues after October 26th. An issue again. I love that they're saying known issues. I said it last video, I'll say it again. Known issues is such a good category. I love that they're adding these now. Because it shows that they want to communicate with their future plans with the players. That's, like, so awesome. An An issue where viewing ID or ego details from the pop-up menu that appears after using eSong to extract would cause the game to lock due to a lack of button to exit the details menu. Okay, understandable. Okay. And then 300 lunacy. Just on another note, by the way, before we end off, they're saying they fixed an issue with the mislabeling of Otis's skill 1. They actually shadow patched, Liu Gregor's support passive. I'm not sure if you were aware, and you probably weren't if you're not, like, a meta player, but, they actually shadow patched this. Where is he, man? Oh, here he is. The support passive says, one ally with the lowest speed deals 30% with their 4th and subsequent coins. This used to say 3rd and subsequent coins. And they shadow patched it. I'm assuming that it was a bug, or another mistranslation, like another case of a mistranslation. And it always was just the 4th and subsequent coins. But for, like, the longest time, it said 3rd and subsequent coins. And, like, I mean, that definitely makes him, like, a lot worse, to the point that I'm not even using him anymore. Because his support passive is way worse now. Even though, like, technically it was the same. Like, I'm assuming that it worked exactly the same, right? I'm assuming that they didn't actually change anything gameplay-wise, and it's just a mistranslation. But, like, just knowing that it's supposed to be 4th and subsequent instead of 3rd and subsequent is so bad. Like, it's so much worse. Because the difference between having a 3-coin skill get hit by this and a 4-coin skill now it has to be. Again, I say now as if it, like, didn't always work like that, but I'm assuming it always did work like that, we just didn't know. But now that we know that it's like that, it's just so much worse. So I don't know if you were aware. I don't know if it probably does not impact your gameplay at all, but I figured I might as well, you know, tell you, because Project Moon sure as hell did not tell us. So yeah. Overall, pretty exciting. Again, Walpurgis not very exciting. Lob Faust, just as a recap, Lob Faust, is looking pretty good. I'll say. Tremor, she looks like she won't be held back by the fact that her main gimmick is Tremor. Which is a big accomplishment compared to the other Tremor IDs. So she's looking pretty good. I think her rating, what was it? It was like 7 or something, conservatively, like a 6 or 7 I think I gave her in general usage. Could go up to like 8 or 9, and then like a 7 in meta usage, could go up to maybe an 8, but I'll probably keep her at a 7 in meta usage. And then Hong Lu looks really solid, actually, like an insane 2-star it looks like. He genuinely looks ridiculously solid. So, you know, I think he's probably going to be really good in non-meta, like, bleed teams. If you want to build, like, a gimmick bleed team, he seems like extremely good in there. A vital part of a bleed team, probably. And then meta-wise, he could probably compete with Cloud Cutter. Maybe. It's possible. Honestly. He might be the new Kurikumo Honglu, to be honest. I would not be surprised to see him there, but competing with Ting Tang is pretty tough. And then Regret Meursault is, like, fine. He's whatever. I mean, I don't know. He seems pretty good. But it doesn't really do anything except for Tremor. And, like, Tremor's not a super good status effect. And it's an ego, so it's not like it has any redeeming factors. Because at least with, like, Faust, if it's a Tremor ID, you know, she could have redeeming factors like good coin power, good damage and stuff. Egos are kind of in a different boat because they're specialty tools that you can pull out when you need them. And, like, I can't really see you needing Regret very often. Again, granted, Screw Loose Wallop is also not, like, super needed all the time. So, it's not really got any... It does not have much competition. But I don't know if I would ever really, like, I would equip it, but I don't know if how much I would actually use it. So, I mean, it seems okay. At least the animations are really stellar. So yeah, overall, very exciting, obviously. And more details on the Season 3 changes that are coming out. Looks like they're, again, changing the art style completely for most of the UI, which is pretty slick. So moving into Season 3, we're going to have a new looking game client too. Very exciting. And more quality of life. So overall, very positive. Again, in a few days, very excited for Walpurgis 9. But until then, I'll catch you later. Hey, peace.